Okay, so we haven't gotten back to our text in a long time. We went a few weeks. I keep remembering to read the Rambam. We went a few weeks on the Mazel, and then we got into Purim. So I'd like to try to get back to the text. I think I'm going to get through today. This morning I was working on something very geschmack, which is coming up. But meanwhile, before, it's such a practical. It's so practical. So I want to talk about this past weekend with the Shilas. Basically, it seems like there was a lot of people caught in the storm that happened. There was roads to Baltimore that were just simply closed. Someone told me there was a chas and a kal who missed the Shabbos brachas. And different people called me up. Somebody got stuck in the Bronx. So I want to tell you two shilas I had, which is, in other words, the halacha is, first of all, you have to leave enough time. Now, it seems like the people this week did leave enough time. It wasn't like they did something wrong. Halacha, you're supposed to leave enough time, that you're supposed to have, let's say, double your travel time, and let's say during the winter, when you're expecting a storm, Shabbos Hanukkah, you're really mechuyev to check it out and to know. Right after Purim, it's a little bit, I think, we're caught off guard. People didn't really have a reason to believe there's going to be this crazy storm that we had on Friday. But it seems like there were quite a few people stranded. So one person that called me, somebody had a 2-month-old baby, if I'm not mistaken, and another child in the car, and his wife in the car, and basically every time they were trying to move towards Baltimore, they kept getting stuck wherever they were going. It basically wasn't moving, and it was coming very close to Shabbos when they stopped a police officer who told them the road is closed. It's not again. It's not that there's just traffic and the traffic has to move. There's a road, trees fell, and it's closed. When it's going to be open, they have no idea when it's going to be open. And this is already very close to Shabbos. This is, I could tell you exactly when this idea came, because it was 10 minutes before Lichtzen. So we're talking about basically 38 minutes before Shkia. So they found that there's nothing to talk about. And then somebody else got stuck in the Bronx. He was he wanted to go over the Whitestone Bridge, if I'm not mistaken. Could be I'm making a mistake. And basically he said he's not going to make it over before Shkia. It's not possible. Now, of course, the two shilas are miles apart. The two shilas are miles apart because one shilah we're dealing with somebody who's with children, that it's a sakana. You can't just leave children. He has his wife. He has 2 babies. One mamash, a brand new born baby. His wife also just, obviously, he has a 2-month-old, just had a baby 2 months ago also. To make the cheshbon. So we're talking about that. That's a lot different of a shayla, let's call it, than a single guy coming home from work on Erev Shabbos, where he's a single guy who can maneuver himself and be a lot safer in different places. So that's first of all.
Also probably near from people that you can just crash for a house.
Right.
Baltimore, they're middle of nowhere.
Right. So let's just get first the halacha, and then we'll work backwards. We'll work backwards to the Metzias. The halacha is like this. The halacha is, so we were just we're discussing before we go back to the regular share what happened this weekend when people got stuck on the road. And we said that so we're talking about two separate shilas. One was a guy who was on his way with a 2-month-old and another child with his wife to Baltimore. Finds out the road's closed. One guy's in the Bronx trying to get over the Whitestone Bridge. Finds out he's not going to make it before Shabbos. So the halacha is like this. In other words, the halacha is like this. The halacha is that if it's of course, if you can, get yourself a guy driving. That's the first thing to do. In other words, if you're driving, it's going to become shkia, so you should get yourself into a goyish car. The Metzias was, they all tried Uber and all other nice services. Besides that, the fact was they couldn't get to them. The Metzias, none of them had cars, whether they weren't driving because of the storm or because the Metzias was that there was not enough cars. Whatever it was, there was not a car to be gotten. Now, to say you're mechuyev to jump into the guy next to you, who's a guy, you have no idea who he is, that also could be a sakana. You don't know who can knock on someone's window and say, I want to get into your car instead of my car. I'll leave my car parked over here. I'm going to get into your car because you have no idea who he is. So, in halacha, it's a very big deal in what's called a sakana. Now, whatever it is, so the guy is in sakana, so he's mechuyev to keep driving. The second he gets out of sakana, let's say he's on his way to Baltimore, and he could technically get himself to Philadelphia, he can't continue to Baltimore. Let's say the guy's coming into Lakewood, and he could, by Howell, I don't know, I'm not saying the Metzias now, I'm not getting into Metzias. At one point, you're out of sakana, you're mechuyev to stop. So the guy who's a single guy coming back from work, and he could stop and spend Shabbos in Walmart, walking up and down the aisles. Taka, maybe he can believe to a guy has a kid and a wife, and she just had a baby 2 months ago. You can't. That's not something he can do. So it's not negayah from. So you have a difference in halacha. You have a bunch of bachrim in the car, and they can sleep under a rock in obviously a safe place. So then and you're making a decision over achiv deraisa, making a decision over being mechal Shabbos and not mechal Shabbos. No, so you have to make a decision that yes, it's more comfortable to get to wherever I'm going, but I technically could spend my Shabbos over here. There's a Maisa, just as I'm talking, I remember a Maisa. There was a train going that there was a Maisa, somebody said over, it was Rabbi Chanan's son, I believe. One of Rabbi Chanan's sons said this over, that his father once gave him over to the Chavetz Chaim to travel with the Chavetz Chaim. I mean, he was a kid, and he was traveling with the Chavetz Chaim, and the train, it came Shabbos, and the train seemed like it was going to be getting to wherever they were going on Shabbos, and the Chavetz Chaim paskin for the oil not to get off the train. Stay on the train, but he said he's getting off, so they asked him, what's pshat? So he said, ba'etzem al pi halacha you're allowed to, but he never had such an opportunity to be Moshe Nefesh for Shabbos like this. He doesn't want to give it up. Chavetz Chaim said, he has an opportunity, but al pi halacha, just stay on the train. But he took this kid with him because he had achrayus on him. He was in charge of this child, so he took him with him, and he described the whole Shabbos they spent under some underpass or whatever. They went from one place to the next, and he described the whole Shabbos with the Chavetz Chaim in such a situation. So, but this is again that's a midas chasidus where he was telling him, when you continue, I'm getting off. It's a midas chasidus. So he got off. But you're making a decision. You're making a decision with the deraisa now. So now a guy, let's go with this. So they can't get themselves into a goyish car, and you continue driving. It's a very big achrayus. So how do you make that decision as you're driving? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Could I stay here? Could not stay here? It's not like you wanna be machal Shabbos. It's not like you wanna put yourself in a place. So the din is ein davar oimim b'fnei pekuach nefashos. When it comes to Shabbos, you have to prove that it's not a sakana. It doesn't work that you have to prove it is a sakana. The proof is on the fact that it's not a sakana. If you can't prove that it's not a sakana, you're mechuyev to keep driving. And this is the truth. This is one of my first lessons as a practicing rabbi. It was when you're in the Beis Medrash, you talk of learning and everything's a shaila and it's very geshmaki. You can come up with 1,000 different svaras and you talk about it. And I remember Taka when I was taking for Harris for smicha, so I took by different places. One of them was Rabbi Forsha, and he was very much into the fact of don't give me shachs and tazels, just tell me what to do. I'm not interested where it came from, how you know it. Don't tell me, just tell me what to do. So I remember one time, before I was even living here, somebody who knocks on my door, Shabbos, afternoon and tells me about his wife, where she is holding in labor. So I told him, told him the rules, and I told him the halacha. Matzah Shabbos, he calls me up, he tells me he waited till 60, 72, whatever he keeps, then he went and the baby was born a few minutes later. I said, you're Meshuggah, what do you wait for? Why don't you go? So I learned from that the first thing you have to tell them is, go. Now, if you talk them not, you have to start off, tell them, go. I just told him the halachas, when she's holding at this, when she's holding that. So the whole time he's busy clearing. Maybe she's not holding there, maybe she is. So the halacha you have to know first is, you have to prove that it's not a sakana. You can't start saying, maybe it's not a sakana here, maybe it's not so dangerous, stay under this place, there's a police station here. You have to be in a place, you're not in a sakana. You have a baby, the baby needs formula, the baby needs a place to sleep. We're talking about a brand new baby. We're not talking about things, so you have to get someplace. So this guy, brother, I told him, I said, if the road is closed, you have no idea when it's going to be, you're driving yourself, I'd say you turn around, come back to Lakewood. Now you have to stop in the first place. If you're coming down Route 9 and you have a place, he found an uncle was on some outskirts or whatever it was that he stopped by. But you have to have a place. When you're a single guy, you're coming back from work, you could really stop a lot earlier and walk in. You don't have to go. Now you can't park your car. You can put it in park that it shouldn't go flying into the next person. But you can't turn off your car. You can't close your doors. You can't do any of that because now you're having Shabbos and now it's not a sakana. Now it's just your money. It's your car. You're worried that your car will get stolen. Now cars getting stolen is not so geschmack. It's not like when you get into an accident they give you money and sometimes you even want that to happen. Because when I was a kid I always wondered why I had a certain neighbor that every 2 years his car would get stolen. I was beyond my comprehension. I couldn't.
What happened with the Lakewood bus that they drove on Shabbos?
Oh, so that was
She was a fuming.
Oh, 1 second. So we'll get there in a second. But Al Kapanim, so over here, and a car gets stolen, they first look for it. It's not like they just throw you money right away. So it's a thing. But that the Chasam Sofer says on the Mishnah that we say, the Ashkenaz says that when Svarad says Kegavna, the Ashkenaz say the Perek B'Mem Adlikin says Kechos ala ner, Kechos ala shemen. What's Kechos ala ner, Kechos ala shemen? It should say Chos ala ner. A guy wants to figure out a way to stop his ner. Why? Because we're talking about a poor society. He has no money. He doesn't want to use extra oil. He doesn't need it. So he's going to sleep. So he's going to find the eitzah that he's going to make that this ner goes out. So it says Kechos ala ner, Kechos ala shemen. What's Kechos? It should say Chos. I'm saving the oil. I'm saving the wick. That's what I'm doing. So he says, on Shabbos, it's only kichos, because it's on Shabbos. You're not losing out from Shabbos. If you're saving money on Shabbos, you're not losing out. Rather, some say in this past week's parsha, the Chavetz Chaim, in this past week's parsha is talking about Shmir Shabbos, and he's talking about, which I'm planning to get to a little bit, but he's talking about the Moisef Mechoil ala Kodesh. He says there are people that are very makbid to go to the last minute, and to end Shabbos at the earliest possible minute. You end a minute later, people are already all nervous. They're like, what's going on here? We're supposed to daven Ma'ariv. You walk in and you shall shoot this one to drop a minute extra. People are already all nervous. So the Chavetz Chaim gives a famous mashal. The mashal he says is that there was a guy who was selling wheat, and he had sacks of wheat, and it's very hard to count every sack of wheat he's bringing to the mill. So the way they used to do it was, they had a cup, and every time he gave the guy a sack of wheat, the guy threw in a coin, whatever the coin was, and then afterwards you count up the coins, and there's 50 coins, I gave you 50 sacks of wheat. So came in the middle, this Chacham sees like there's a whole bunch of coins here, no one's looking. He grabs some, he puts it in his pocket, and he stole some coins. But he didn't realize he's stealing from himself, because he just now, when they add up the coins, instead of having 100 coins, there was only 50 coins because he stole 50. So the guy got away with paying for the thing. Says the Chavetz Chaim, when we take from Shabbos and add to Chol, Shabbos is what gives us Parnasa. Shabbos is what gives the kayak for the whole Chol. That's why you see the Oifruf is the week before Chasana. You see Shabbos. We always have Shabbos Agadol, Shabbos Shuvah. The week before that gives the kayak for that week. So you're stealing from Shabbos. So really you're stealing from yourself. But Al Kapanim, The the Samsayv is like the chasal. So person not allowed to turn off his car. He's not allowed to take any of his belongings, and he has to go to the place. Now, once he gets to a safe place, he's not allowed to have. He only has his dollar amas. You're not allowed to walk out of your dollar amas. That means I walk into to town. So let's say the guy with a kid is going to pull into a place where it's safe, and there's an Erev. So that whole Erev is called Dalet Amos. That means there's an Erev, there's a shul, there's whatever he needs, he has within that Erev, he could stay within that Erev. But no, once he came from out of the Tchum, so now you have Dalet Amos only.
So you basically can't leave the house.
You can't leave the house because that's Dalet Amos. However, if you live within the Erev, let's say you came to the place, right? So anything in the Erev is called within the Dalet Amos. So you can walk any place in the Erev, but you can't, right. But
Walmart, Dalet Amos in Walmart? Or
right, the whole Walmart.
The whole Walmart,
would be right, no, but yeah, because it's enclosed. It's enclosed. Now, but people don't realize this. They see what I mean. I have a neighbor who's Atzala guy, and this guy, the worst is the kids who grow up in Atzala guy's house. They see the father coming back and going to shul and things. They don't realize that over there's a special hatter, hitter soifa mishon tchilasai, that because we want a guy to go, a guy sitting, his neighbor needs help, and he's gonna go running with him to Jersey Shore Hospital, and now he's stuck in Jersey Shore Hospital for Shabbos. So we're matter soifa mishon tchilasai. Chacham matter. You go, and when you come back, you're free to move around. Or one time, a guy asked me, he says, why are you allowed to clean off your car on Shabbos from the snow? I said, who said you are? He says, well, his father always did it. So I asked him, is his father outside? The guy tells me, yeah. So over there also, he's cleaning it off. He's not mechuyev to wait till he has a call to go running. He has to clean it off. This way he knows, in case he has a call, he's going to be able to. So you can't always bring a raya from a Maisa. But Al Kapanim, the site is once you get there, you can't move around and about. You have to just stay within your Dalet Amos or within the Erev. Now, also, let's say this guy's wife is going to have to add a candle because she missed lighting. Now, it could be if it was in Gans and Oinus, not, but we're saying over here, could be it's an Oinus, so there are 8 sisters. 8 sisters, you could add oil. If you're going from candles, you can switch to oil, but those are different 8 sisters that one could do. Now, one more thing just before, there was a bunch of people ended up in a motel without any food. So really, if you look in halacha, when somebody travels on Friday, you're supposed to take food with you. You're supposed to take chalas and wine, and you're not supposed to travel without it. Most people today are not makbid on it. There's another halacha. If you go today out of town, you go fly a place, wherever you're going, you're supposed to really take your talis and tefillin. So most people fly and take their talis and tefillin. But if I'm going to New York and back, I don't. Even though if you look straight in halacha, you don't. So why don't we? Why don't we? The reason we don't is because we say wherever we are, there's shayaris, mitzuyas, there's people with tefillin. The mice, the guy came to shul, he sees the guy's tefillin, and they tell him, no, it's Rabbeinu Tam, it's Bizvet Rabbeinu Tam, but Chimkim, I'll be finished already, don't worry about it. But Al Kapanim, normally we say there's a way to get it. So over here also, in the time of Chazal, a guy got stuck on the road, it was a normal thing, he got stuck on the road for a week sometimes. Today we say, listen, you're going from here to Baltimore, you'll end up in Philly, from here to Muncie, you'll end up in Passaic. There's 8 on the way. Lamaista, we know there's a cloud on the halacha. Normally, we don't change something. The fact that we make a bracha on lighting candles. How do you make a bracha on lighting candles? Lahadlik Nerish Shabbos. The main reason we light is that we should have light. We all have light. Who uses the light from the candles? So Ramoshe asks, how are you allowed to make a bracha? So there are those, so Zalman talks about, everyone talks about these, how it's those that make eitzes. They turn off the lights and then they leave. They turn off and on the lights, and they have other eitzes how to do it. So Grada, one time, somebody pointed out something. There was a guy tells me he turns off his lights, and this way he's the old halach is being nana from the neighbors. I told him that's a shtickle amaratzos, because what did Chazal want? They wanted it to be light. They wanted more light. So you're making it darker, then you should be able to do Takaras Chazal. It's not what Chazal wanted. So Elamai, Moshe says, since it's shaykh a blackout, so Amela, you're allowed to have your lights on. You're allowed to make a bracha on lighting candles. Blackout. How often? So just one Maisa, I'm not going to say the name, but a Chashav Yid, here in town told me this Meister. I remember this came out in the last Chedek of Ramosha, after Ramosha was already nifta. This came out, and this Yud, big Talmud Chacham, made a big tumult, kind of thing for a blackout. Was Ken Zayin? He was making an offer for his son that Shabbos, Friday night. The lights went out, and he got up and he said, the Abish is showing me, don't start up with Ramosha, don't start up with this. He said, so the kids, he said, I was standing there and he said this over to Yerucham. Olshin said, I was making some chayes and black. I was, why do I show because of your,
the lights went back on.
no, this was after Shabbos was discussing. But upon him, the point is that in halacha we usually go that things don't change. So this also shouldn't change. And I was thinking about it. Most people don't do it, including myself. You go into months, you're not going to you're leaving early enough. I'm not talking about the guy's leaving late. The guy said he left early enough. So, but really, if you think about it, you buy a box of matzahs, and you get a bottle of wine, and today, if you want to even be a machmi, you get some beef jerky. It doesn't spoil, and you keep it in your trunk. If you ever go, you have a whole Shabbos with you. You have a thing. If you want, you can buy a bottle of the jar, gefilte fish. I know it's outdated. I'm just saying, if you really want to do this halacha, it's so simple. You have it in your car, and you go, and you can always have it with you. And that's what the halacha says. Most of us don't do it because the thing. Lamaisa this week they called up. Are they allowed to send food? And the halacha is if you're going to send food with a guy, then you have a whole tzibur that doesn't have. They can't do kiddush. They can't do it's tzarech mitzvah. So it's amir la'akum and tzarech mitzvah. So you'd be allowed to send food. They taka send food with a guy to these people who are stuck on the way, and the food comes in on Shabbos. Normally I can't go do a malacha on Shabbos, and even if I have, let's say, stale rolls, I can't go have a guy bring me my nice chalas or whatever. But the guy didn't have chalas, they didn't have wine, they didn't have kiddush. So it's tzarich mitzvah derabim, so you'd be allowed to do it. Now, talking about this idea how things change or don't change, we just learned over here. Again, we're going back a few weeks ago because we had the whole few shiurim on Mazel and all those shiurim that we spoke about and why we say Mazel Tov, but we're learning about the shratzim. So people very often, this is a very big shayla, why do I have to be frommer than my father? You know what I mean? Halavai, I'll be like my father. I have to be frommer than him. And every 2 days it seems like they come out with a new thing that has bugs. You used to be able to eat almost whatever you wanted. Today you can't. You cannot get strawberries already. They asked years ago. Now strawberries are very interesting. You should know because strawberries are very hard to tell. I was once shown by a mashkiach how you find bugs on strawberries. Now those little things on the strawberry seeds. So some of them are seeds and some of them are bugs. You put a little heat to them, and all of a sudden you see one of those seeds start moving, and it's very hard to see them, and they're stuck to them. So I'm asking the green leafy things that already they asked years ago when we were kids, maybe. But we have a
broccoli is yag v'yavar. Broccoli is yag v'yavar.
Broccoli, all these things, those green leafy things. But I'm saying, but every day today, blueberries they say you can't eat. Grapes, you should know. People don't know about them. They say they have thrips on it. If you don't pull them off the stem and go like that right on top, where it was attached to the stem. Could be eating thrips or other. There's corn if you eat it, corn on the cob, they say has bugs, meaning if you take it off the cob, you could eat it because the bugs are between the cob and the corn. You take it off and wash it, I'm saying, but if you eat corn...
Do you have to soak strawberries in this soapy water or not? They nasty.
You gotta put bleach.
My wife was all doing it.
So my wife stopped buying strawberries. She said by the time I finish with them, they're not worth it. It's a waste of money. No, so the question is...
Should we wash it off?
No, they taka...
No, you were doing a thing to show me that even on strawberries, red bugs, you can't see it unless you're pointing with
Right, you have to really know what you're looking for, and also stammers on different things. When it comes to the romaine lettuce tomorrow, they're very hard.
I just saw a fruit platter came from one of these places here, peeled strawberries.
Peeled strawberry. Okay. Okay. No, but
How can stores sell strawberries cut up?
so one thing. So you can't. You
That
only
I'm
can bring a raya from like a restaurant that has a real rava machshir. A store, I saw them selling different things. On Pesach, they were selling kibbutz. The thing that happened, which is not the answer. The first thing that happened is that they used to be that they used. First, let's go in America. They used pesticides, and those pesticides were found to be very unhealthy. So the Food and Drug Administration decided, why should I stick on pesticides and kill off all these bugs and give the consumer unhealthy food? I might as well leave bugs. Bugs have protein. And they have a certain amount of, let's say for broccoli, you look at the FDA, they have tell you could have a certain amount of maggots. They realize people don't really know what's in them. And why should I give them unhealthy things? Give them the bugs that have health in them. And it shouldn't be better they should eat the bugs than eat these pesticides. Now,
Advertise that it's organic.
Right, they can make more money.
You don't have any pesticides.
Right, I'd rather, in other words, there are bugs in there. It just reminds me of a story I heard that there was,
Until you find
a
all the
shul where they
effects
had,
of bugs.
it seemed like a big drinking problem that people, they called them the JFKs, just for the Kiddush Club. And so the Rav called them together and he wanted to show them how bad it is. So he took a cup of vodka and a cup of water, and he put in a worm in each one. And in the water, the worm is swimming around very nicely, and the vodka, the worm shrivels up. So he says, "Look what's going on there." So one guy says, "You see, if you drink, you'll never have worms." That's it. You have to have your own right perspective. So
Dip the strawberry into the vodka.
right. He says, "Dip the
I'm down for
strawberry."
that.
Instead of your solution with soap.
Poke some holes in the strawberry.
The kids, so this is really, and remember there was a whole tumult with the oranges a while ago, right? And they got rid of the that wasn't working. That was a different problem. 1 second. So that's the first thing that changed. But that doesn't answer why unsere tatas, meaning if you're going back 75 years ago, no one had pesticides. I mean, it was only for a few years in America they had pesticides. But then afterwards, they before that they also didn't have. So how come they were worried? We have to be firmer than them. And there's a taina that is out there that I've heard. So really, the answer to that is something that you have to understand. Two parts. Number one is that, like we spoke about Shabbos morning, that we're living in a society that they never had such a plenty. At one point in America, they didn't know what to do with the grain; they were burning grain. Right? Lamashal Yashin. People want to know why all of a sudden Yashin became such a nice big thing. The truth is, when I was a kid, my father was before the Yashin, but before everything was makbid on Yashin. He used to have to get bread like once a week, and he was not for all the kids, just for himself. He used to stay on top of the refrigerator. That was his thing. He didn't eat any cakes or whatever unless my mother made it, and it was Yashin. And I remember he said he once walked into a store. He was out of town. He walked into a bakery, and he what?
That's a bakery step.
What? No, so he asked in the bakery is Yashin. So he goes, these nayachim, the chudash asim and atayra. Chudash asim and atayra is the issa for Yashin. That's the makar. But anyway, it's chudash asim and atayra nayachim. Because what happened? How did that change? How did all of a sudden that change? First of all, there's a Yid, Yosef Greenfeld. He's the one who wrote the book. He was my neighbor across the street, like from here to Ove's house. And he was walking up the hill, up in Muncie, the hill with my father. It was Friday night, and he said he just learned this halach about Yashin. He says, how come no one keeps this? And my father said, actually, we have a shtickle oilam, we do keep it. And he was saying how they get their information. And this guy worked for Philips, the company Philips. So yeah, the light bulbs and things. So him writing letters to companies would make a much bigger presence than a couple of young light and writing some letters trying to find out. So what changed with that? What changed is, first of all, come out everything was Yashan. It was it's so easy in America to keep Yashan. And also, they didn't have ways of tracking it. Today, the barcode if you read this book, it tells you how to decipher a barcode. It can tell you exactly how long that thing is sitting on the shelf. Now, they may not want you to know all this information, but you could see a Cheerio box that's there already for 3 years. You could see oatmeal, how long it's there. If you know how to read the barcode, you know exactly how long it is. They didn't have such opportunity. Your grandfather never had such an opportunity. They didn't have the technology to know that there are bugs in things. So we have to discuss maybe what happens if it's only through technology that you could understand that there's a bug here, but you can't see it with your own eyes. Which that already, without getting into that could be mutter. That's something else. I'm not discussing that. I'm talking about something that the facts are out there. So all of a sudden that if your grandfather would have had the opportunity to keep Yashim, they would have jumped at that opportunity. But for a certain amount of time it was, if you don't eat this, you can't make it. Or the bugs were the same thing. It was impossible to know what has bugs, what doesn't have bugs, and they were starving, a lot of them. So it wasn't shot that they had a choice. Should I eat peaches today, watermelon? No, I want strawberries. And they decide, I don't care, there's bugs in them, I'm eating strawberries. So now you're going to tell me I have to be from them, my father? Whatever they had, I once heard, by Shaik Yisiyim, I said, I heard someone describing I heard someone describing what it was. He says, you guys think you enjoy food. You sit down to whatever food you want, you don't enjoy it. He says, when we were growing up, it was in Eretz Yisrael in the 50s, he said, you didn't have money, you were starving. And there wasn't even he said, you saw a cucumber in the store, and you were like, your mouth is watering over that cucumber. You didn't have enough money. And then you saved up. Then for Shabbos you bought that cucumber, and the family shared it. He says, you enjoy it more than you enjoy a steak today. Steak today, you'd eat it, then you eat the next steak, and this one, that one. He says there was such geschmack in it. So if they would have had the opportunity, not only that, there were a lot of people that did. There were people that know from different places in Hungary where certain times of the year they knew they couldn't eat certain fruits and vegetables because they had bugs. And certain times of the year they assumed they didn't have bugs. And that's how they went. So they maybe ate at different times of year. But there were people, but they were like the Chavetz Chaim getting off that train. Because they could have went to sleep hungry because they didn't have the opportunity to eat it. Now, today, Ramosha has a tshuva, rather. There's Ramosha has a tshuva. Somebody asked Ramosha, he came to America, and he sees they eat melons, they eat everything. Is it considered, and there's pesticides, which take away the things. But did it become a minhag not to eat it? Because in Europe, no one ate it. So it doesn't seem like everyone just ate everything.
In Europe, they don't eat meat for that reason. They also say
in certain things, no. Also there was right. I'm just saying, but but over here we're saying, in other words, the fact that we assume they ate everything is not really true. I saw true from Moshe, which is printed in English Moshe. The shayla wanted to know, did it become a minhag not to eat it? Even though today we got rid of the bugs, and Moshe of course told them no, because we did not eat it because we had something against the melon. We didn't eat it because it had bugs in it, right? And today you don't have bugs in it. But if they would have had this technology, they would have had it. L'mashal, our tefillin, the tefillin on the bar mitzvah boy today is probably more chashuv than the tefillin that the Gedolei Hadar had in Europe. Because of technology. Not that they wouldn't, so you can say, I'm going to buy dakas. What do I need gases for? It's so much more money. But my great-grandfather didn't have it. He didn't have it because he didn't have such an opportunity. Not because he didn't want to have it. He wanted to have it. They didn't have it. This happens with a lot of different things that change. And also, Lamash, I'll give you another thing. There's just one on that subject. Is tzitzis. Tzitzis. People, what could be wrong with tzitzis? You go to the Judaic store, you buy tzitzis. The polyester tzitzis, which is a lot of tzitzis, where Moshe holds, you're not yotze tzitzis at all.
Bugs?
But no, because it's not considered a baguette. It's synthetic material. Rav Shlomo Zalman, the ones that are made out of polyester.
But now your jackets and Costco are made out of polyester.
Right, but al pi halacha, the dinner, what makes a beggar? Reb Shlomo Zalman, what
Come on, Rabbi.
what are they made out of? They're made out of cotton or polyester.
I'm just gonna put it back. It's the same as the Scott. Same as the Scott. There's no balls.
They made just
My sister's so good.
1 second.
Some polyester costs more. They can't.
It's nothing to do with the amount of money. The shaila is in Dinei Begadim. Is that how they make it? Reb Shlomo Zalman held, yeah, that's why companies make it. But the American poskim held not. The Minchas also held not. It really depends. It's a new thing that didn't exist back in the day. So I'm not saying there's no one to be Saimach on, but if we're Saimach on, people are Saimach on all Ramosha said Teirim. Ramosha says this is not tzitzis, and we're talking about for a couple of cents. We're not talking about you can wear cotton tzitzis. I think it's probably more geschmack than wearing polyester tzitzis. But I rather
sports in the summer because it breathes better.
I understand, but so maybe the guy not to wear tzitzis when he plays sports, and then you put on real tzitzis. Say really you should wear wool. That's the chatchila. But even without that, my son's tzitzis got ripped. He told me he said he couldn't use any of my tzitzis because they're all wool. He wanted to know what to do.
It's the olive
Huh?
Owen has the polyester, the wool, and the cotton.
All in one. It's a collide. Fine. So
Your strings on all of them too?
oh, that's a different. Don't get me started with the blue ones. That's a whole different child. And this is what
He doesn't blow.
right. Of course it's made. The shaila is if there's an isser. That's a different shaila. So let's go weiter. We didn't even start yet. Let's go a drop weiter over here. There's very interesting things that come out of these psukim. So we were holding over here by creating a man. That's what basically we're holding nasa here. Let me find the pasuk. Right? So Grad the Rashi says that Vayas Elikim Eschayis Haaretz L'Mineu. So Vayas Tiknam B'tzivonim U'B'tikunam U'B'Koimasan. The Eibishter made them their color, and he made them exactly the way they're supposed to be, and their height. So it's to me, this is very nice. The Sifsei Chacham over here brings down L'tzivoinam she'im haya shoyalim oisam metchila im roitza liyos noitzakein haya misratza liyos kein. And there's a big hashkafa. The Sifsei Chacham is telling us that the Eibishter made every animal and every bria, and he says with the exact way they would want to be created. He says, if you would have asked the lion, do you want to look like this? He would have said yes. You asked the tiger, you want to look like this? Kolshkein Adam. There's Gemara say this, that we signed off on everything. But he's saying over here that he did it with Rashi's with Tzavainam, we would have signed off on exactly how we were created. So now this next thing of Nasa Adam is a major shmooze. So let me just say the positive. Nasa Adam. Nasa Adam, if you read the words Rashi and explain this, it sounds like they made it together. We got together and we made Adam. Who exactly was the Eibishter working with? Who exactly was helping the Eibishter? So the pasuk says, Nasa Adam kin Museinu. Says Rashi, Nasa Adam. This is the Nesusa Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the humility of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who Lomad Mikan Lafisha Adam Haya B'Dmus Malachim. The Eibush that a person, somehow we have the same form and the Dmus of a Malach, and they're going to have kinna in us. They're going to be jealous of us. Lafikach Nimlach Ben. The Eibush to ask them and discuss. We're going to take this apart in a second. Ukishahaya don es hamalachim haya nimlach b'pomalya shaloi shekein nimtza ba'achav shenamar. It says by Emicha, it says Re'ei Hashem Yoshev al Kisei v'chol tzva Hashemayim oimdin olav miyaminu m'smailoi. Is it possible? Ask the Gemara, what do you mean? The Eibush has a Yemin Small, there's no such thing as Yemin Small. It means that they were involved. Elu miyamin l'schos, the ones on Yemin are the ones who are saying, yeah, go for it. The Elu miyamin l'smal, the l'chayva, they're saying, don't go for it. So you see the Eibush asked the Pamal Yishamayla and discussed with it. Nasa Adam Afal Pi Shaloi Seyua B'Yitzirasan. No one helped Eibush to make it. Yesh Makam Leminim Lidrois, and the minim could say that there's loy nimna, and they could make a mistake and say the Eibush that helped, still loy nimna akasav, and he was noiter rishos min akatan. The Eibush, who was obviously nothing greater than the Eibush, took rishos from the cotton. V'im kasav asa adam, that Hashem made it with his lashon that he did himself. Lalamad shehu. Shayi medaber im bezdin ella im atzmai, and I, the minim, are going to make a mistake. Chuvas aminim kasav vayivra elakim v'loy kasav vayivreu, that the Eibishter vayivra elakim means it lashing yachid. So there's a lot you can learn from here. In other words, it's just so it's loaded of what we can learn from here. That first of all, that malachim have jealousy. The Gemara says when the Gemara in Shabbos, famous Gemara we all know, Moshe comes up to get that Torah, and the Malachim say, no, keep the Torah over here. Now, I once heard a beautiful pshat why that whole Gemara, Gemara Shabbos Peichas, why the Malachim put this whole stink up not to give us the Torah, and Moshe Achois B'Kisei HaKavod and answer them, right? It was to give us a chashivas for the Torah. Like they don't want to give it up. So Moshe says, answer them. So one of the things it says yet that you can't be jealous of your friend. V'chi yesh kina beinechem. Do you have jealousy between you? And that was one of the winning arguments that Moshe used in order to get the Torah. And here we're saying, Rashi says clearly that if the Eibishter wouldn't check with the Malachim, they're going to be jealous of us. That we're similar to them. Till then, there was no one like that. So says the Sifsei Chachamim. The Chachamim answers this question. He says that, to me this was a chiddush, that between themselves there's no kinna. There's no jealousy between Malachim. But between us to Malachim there's jealousy. That they're jealous of us. Look, it doesn't say this here, but the Reish Chachma talks about this a lot. He says, when we want to say Kaddish, 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 whenever we want. Go to shul, you want to sit today in a shul at this mingin factory, and you say Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish all day. Isn't that go right ahead? Can't say maybe the Yechidus, but you could say a Valitzian over maybe, but you can't say, but the Malachim could wait years to say Kaddish, Kaddish. So they're jealous of our ability to serve the Eibishter. We can do things that they can't do for years. That's the way I'm understanding the Sifsei Chachamim. The Sifsei Chachamim saying that they're jealous of us. They're not jealous between themselves. There's no jealousy, right? Because that's the simple understanding. Also, I had this Havana on Purim. This happens. Come out every year. There's a certain guy comes to me. And he's already, a little under the influence, and maybe even after I drank enough. Also, this usually happens. And I usually tell him something, to be mechazik him, and he always has kindness of me. Like, why don't you ever tell me during the year? You never tell me going around Friday night. And I thought about it. Under the influence, I thought about it. No, but I thought about it. It's very partial. Because he's never ever comes to ask me anything or machni himself at all. So in my mind, I look at him like, you think you're better than me. So fine, you're better than me. Now under this, I still want to tell you should know I have your mind for this or whatever. But the Eibishter, who's the biggest gadol, is being machni himself to the katan. Now the truth is well, they're just stamas. What happened to guy? There's a letter from Rabbi Greenfeld, which is very yisaidistic. That Rabbi Greenfeld writes. Somebody says to Rabbi Greenfeld writes that let's say you feel you're not worthy. Somebody's going to give you any respect. How are you worthy? He says it's not you. It's the position. Let's say you're a yeshiva. Rabbi Greenfeld never felt he wasn't worthy of any kavod. We don't have this problem. Kivega had big problems. He's not worthy of the covenant. But Kivega is saying that it's not you. But the Eibush is teaching us as Musa Haskell. It's coming on the fact that the minim could have issues with this. The minim, somebody who's looking to find a problem, could have an issue with this. Someone who's looking to find a problem could have an issue with this and think there's two reshuyas. And I really wanted to get into this shilas about when you're dealing with a guy or kiruv or something, and somebody asks you a question, we'll get into it next week, I guess. But this Gemara over here in Megillah it proves this. This Gemara over here says the Ma'isa of Talmi Amelach. It's a Gemara on Daf Tes. Amar Aleph. Talmi Amelach wanted the Talmud translated into Greek, and he knew that we could play around. So he took 70 different zakanim, and he put them into different houses, in different rooms, and he didn't tell them what they're coming in for. And once they were in there already, he told them he wants them to translate the Torah's Moshe Rabbeinu. V'nasan HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'kol echad ve'echad eitzah. The Eibishter gave each one eitzah to change the same exact things. And this way, it all stemmed. And it was unbelievable nice. One of them was, they didn't write Bereshis bara Lakim, they wrote Lakim bara Bereshis. And Rashi explains, Shalo Yoima Bereshis, that there was something before the Eibishter, which we saw the Rishonim about that, right? So they changed that. The second thing they changed was this exact thing. They changed this, they changed the second thing was, Asa Adam, they wrote. They didn't write Nasa Adam. They all 70 had the same Ruach HaKodesh, and they wrote Esa Adam because otherwise, like Rashi says, they're going to think that there's other people helping. So this is something dangerous, that you could end up people coming and they're going to become mamash apikorsim from this. But yet the Eibishter felt it important to say that the Eibishter, which is no greater than the Eibishter, is machniya himself to his subject, to his malachim, to ask them, what do they think? Of the jealousy or other reasons that he had the cheshbon to do it, but to teach us this lesson, he wanted to do. So the shaila, which we'll discuss next time, which happens all the time, and I'll give you a very simple case. Comes Purim, and somebody, either you be makar of somebody, or a straight up guy in the office, or you meet in the street, you want to say, what's this whole Purim about? And you want to know, you have to tell them that we were going to get killed, and we went and killed. Now, let's say even better. They ask you, what's this Mechias Amalek? I had this Parsha Zachar. I told you about somebody who heard it 39 times. But I'm just saying, let's say this, what's this mitzvah about? So it should be with him, If there's an Amaleki, and we know, we got to kill him. Go try and tell that to your neighbor, in America. So am I allowed to lie about it? Am I allowed to just change it a little? Is there a way around it? So it's negay over here that the Eibishter, in other words, it's negay coming from here, and we'll mention and get back to it next time.